Hello, everyone on the internet. Welcome. Welcome to our second Pioneer live stream. In case you don't know, Pioneer is an attempt to build a kind of online sense of place on the internet. There's many benefits people get from being in great companies, great cities. In many ways, people kind of want to come to California, to the frontier, to be at the heart of Silicon Valley. We kind of believe that cities, almost like a drug, can really change people. And much of what causes founders to be great, to create their great company, is just the people that they're surrounded by. This is indeed the kind of power of an incubator, an accelerator, or as I mentioned, a great city. And Pioneer is an attempt to rebuild a city, but entirely on the internet. It is a fully remote kind of online startup accelerator. We hope it is, in time, more than just an accelerator, in fact, a generator of talent. Our hope is that people can come to Pioneer when they have merely the kind of fleeting thought of a project they may want to work on. And that we're able to, kind of take them from someone with a shower thought, if you will, and almost generate the founder in them to turn them into the next company. And what you're going to see today is kind of a sampling of some of our pioneers and what they're working on. To date, we've funded over 100 pioneers from over 20 different countries from around the world. This is an opportunity for all of you to get a chance to meet some of them and to see what they're working on. Thankfully, there's no way to get infected with anything during the stream other than enthusiasm, hopefully, for what these folks are working on. We have, if you're watching through our website, we have obviously a cool chat interface you should check out. As well as a interesting kind of leaderboard voting mechanic we'll walk you through. We'll walk you through the kind of exact mechanics of that in a bit. We'd be very eager to get your feedback on how we should be making this better. So stay tuned, try to keep yourself enthralled, and if you're not, let us know how. Before I kind of hand it over to the rest of the team to walk you through the mechanics of today, I should mention and thank some of the hosts that we're going to have online today, interviewing and talking with some of our pioneers. Tyler Cowen, world-renowned economist, daily curator of the Marginal Revolution blog. I'd imagine many in the audience enjoy his work. Is going to be interviewing some of our pioneers. Zach Sims, the founder of Codecademy, one of the kind of largest online communities in a sense for learning. We'll be interviewing some of our pioneers. And Laura Deming, who is probably the world's leading longevity investor, and is certainly on a trajectory to become, one of the leading investors, period, in time. We'll be interviewing our pioneers. And then finally, Patrick McKenzie, also known as Patio 11, to those of you fans of his on the internet, works at Stripe, helps plenty of founders out, both at Y Combinator, Pioneer, and others. We're very thankful to have all of them today and to kind of walk us through the format. Pioneers will be doing a short presentation about their work, and then we'll be interviewed by some of these hosts. So it should provide maximal enjoyment for the audience viewing this on the internet. And with that, I'm going to kind of dish it over to the team to talk us through a little bit more of the mechanics today.
Thank you, Daniel. Much appreciated. Very excited to be in this position today. My job is to essentially, what my headset might suggest here, be somewhat of a pilot guiding us from A to B. We have an incredible, as Daniel said, suite of pioneers and hosts today. As far as the format goes, for anybody watching on Twitter and YouTube, I implore you to go to pioneer.app/livestream where you can register to get your own ticket to this event. And what that ticket entails, for those of you who have a ticket, is you can chat with our pioneers directly. You can follow up with them. You can dish them points and distribute points to your favorite presentations. We will also be taking audience questions at the end of each of our presentations. So you will have the chance to engage directly with our pioneers today live in that regard. Without further ado, as Daniel mentioned our first host today is Laura Deming. We are very excited to have her here today. And let's promote her to the stage. Excellent.
Laura Deming, one of the very...
And our first pioneer today is Brad Dwyer. Brad will be presenting Roboflow from Des Moines, Iowa. Brad, go ahead, take it away.
Great. Laura, great to meet you. And it's great to have everybody here on the live stream. I'm Brad from Des Moines, Iowa, and I'm one half of the founding team of Roboflow, a startup working on computer vision infrastructure. My co-founder, Joseph, will be joining us in the Q&A, but I'll get started. So you may have heard of computer vision in the context of some of the innovations that it's enabling, like self-driving cars or early stage cancer detection. But the use cases for computer vision actually go far beyond that. In fact, we believe that computer vision is a foundational technology, much like the internet, in that it's going to transform nearly every industry. Unfortunately, it's such early days, there's just not that much infrastructure built up around it yet. There are some companies focused on pieces of the puzzle, like labeling or training, but there's this big piece in the middle that every team is left to reinvent for themselves. We felt this pain point when we were building our own computer vision apps, and that's why we built Roboflow, to eliminate the boilerplate computer vision code so that teams can focus on their domain-specific problems. What that means in practice is that you drop your data into Roboflow and we perform common tasks. We help you find and fix common errors. We help you generate more training data. And we let you easily use your data across many common machine learning models. This gives developers superpowers. You no longer have to be a team the size of Google to use computer vision in your project. And in fact, we as a team of 2 were able to use it to build Product Hunt's AR app of the year. We just launched publicly in January, but we're already showing signs of traction with over 600 users and almost $1,000 in monthly recurring revenue. But what we're most excited about is what our early users are telling us. One of our first paying customers told us that after he integrated Roboflow into his training pipeline, he was able to delete half of the code from his project. And one of the first teams using Roboflow told us that it reduced the time to experiment with a new machine learning model from a week to a day. We're excited to continue building this out. It's still early days, and we'll be launching one-click labeling and training integrations later this spring. We'd love introductions to any teams using computer vision who might make great early customers, or any investors who might be interested in building a relationship and potentially investing in the future. So with that, I'd like to invite Joseph to join us for the Q&A, and I'm excited to answer your questions.
Okay, awesome. Thanks so much. Super cool project. So how is this different from like OpenCV in the cloud?
Yeah, so we're really focused on like the deep learning aspect. So OpenCV is kind of like traditional like line detection and that sort of thing. But over the last 10 years, we've gone into this revolution where computer vision is able to do things that it was never able to do before. And that's enabling all these really awesome use cases.
Got it. So can you like walk me through the audience that like does not know how to use like Python computer vision libraries, but like is training their models like in the cloud?
Yeah, so like I can show you, am I still screen sharing? Can you see my screen still? Yep. I have a slide pulled up here. This is an example of some of the data sets that people have uploaded to Roboflow so far. So you can see that it's like a whole wide range of things. People are using it to do everything from agriculture to medicine, and even some like fun applications like identifying sushi in a mobile app. And so it's like, you know, we have 600 users and we haven't seen 2 teams that are working on the same custom project yet.
Okay, cool. Is it possible to do a live demo?
Yeah, I think Joseph has one queued up on his screen. So I'm going to stop sharing mine and let him take over from here.
Great.
Hey everyone. So I'm going to do a live demo. Just give me a quick head nod, Laura, if you can make sure you can hear me, see my screen, everything's okay.
Yes.
Awesome. So, all right. So for today's demo, what I'm going to show you is I actually have a bunch of chess data. And what we're going to be doing is we're going to be teaching a machine to identify chess pieces. So on my local machine, you'll see here, I have a bunch of chessboards, and these are labeled in VOC XML format, defining where in the image the bounding box that defines each of these specific pieces. Now, in this case, my images are already labeled. And so I will upload them to Roboflow. And by the end of this, we'll be able to one-click create a trained model. So let me pull up Roboflow. I'll create a new data set. This data set is going to be called Chess Laura. It's an object detection data set. my annotation class, we're finding pieces, so I'll call that pieces. Now, the next thing that Roboflow will do for me is perform sorts of checks common checks that I need to perform on any of my given annotations. So for example, if I drop my images and annotations directly into Roboflow, it processes and does some things like, hey, heads up, you might have some errors that you weren't aware of with your annotations. And this is a common problem. Labelers don't have 100% accuracy. There's some things that you can rule-based check.
So just curious, as we walk through this, like which are the features that you could not live without? Like if you had to reduce the product down to one feature, which would you keep?
Yeah, one of the biggest things we've seen our users find a ton of value in is a dataset health check of being able to identify common errors and problems that they're seeing in their images and in their annotations. I can actually show you that once I've uploaded this. Let me just give you a quick show here that, as you can see, one of the errors that it found is, hey, you have this class here where there's only like 1A, 1R, 1B, 1R, etc. So it says to me that I might have an image in here that's of the wrong type. So actually, if I look, I say, oh, I have a boggle image here in my chess data set. So I'm gonna nuke that. Then I also see that I have some images that aren't labeled. And for the purposes of building a trained model, I only want labeled images in this data set. Now, once I upload, I'm prompted to be able to follow best practice, like creating a train test split. And so now that this is uploaded, let me show you the killer features that we've seen users really take to. One of those is the ability for checking the health of any given data set. So commonly enterprises will have images that are not of high enough quality, and they'll either send those to be labeled, and then they'll get images back that weren't even useful for the problem they were working on, or perhaps it's informing the types of decisions of pre-processing and augmentation techniques that the data scientists or computer vision or developer teams are aware of. So in this example, I mean, I only had 20 images, but I had no null examples. I didn't have any missing annotations. I have 267 annotations, about 13 on average per image. My average image size is 3 megabytes. I can see here the class balance. Now, in this given data set, my images are all the same size, so it just looks like this black box because they're all laid on top of each other. But in an example where I have images of varying sizes, like here, you can see that we demonstrate to you the size and various different dimensions you see, which informs resize decisions in pre-processing. We have an annotation heat map, and we actually use this annotation heat map for this specific problem to realize that white queen, for example, was dramatically underrepresented and not moved enough in this given data set. The other thing that I quickly want to show is I can generate more training data with Roboflow. We had a large steel company use just 8 images to generate an entirely new data set of 300 images and create a 95% accurate bounding box detector for a specific problem that they had that improved their steel production processes. And the way they did that was they said, okay, for my problem, it might make sense to have random rotation, brightness, and 90-degree rotations. And then I can, create anywhere from 0 to 5. I'll just do 2, so I'll have 40 images created. I can give this specific version a name, but I'll just go ahead and generate it.
Okay, cool. Just to flag, I think we might be coming up on time, so just wanted to throw one last question out there, which is, I think it's really hard in some cases to build like a useful product in this space that's like both targeted enough to hit like the few users that will benefit from it, but also not so general that like it just feels to be useful for anyone. So I'm just curious, kind of like as you grapple with that quandary, what's like the perfect final version of this that you would kind of like summarize in one sentence, so to speak?
It's been interesting. So we thought our customer was going to be like these data science teams that were already working on computer vision, but we found that our sweet spot is really technical product teams that are good at like building projects, but don't necessarily have computer vision expertise. And we think as this moves from like a research and development, like research thing to a product thing, that those are the teams that are going to find the most value, because like these are tools that they would otherwise have to build for themselves rather than spending time on their actual project that they want to be working on. So it's really those product teams that we've found like really early success with that have found it super useful.
So
okay,
computer
great.
vision in 3 clicks. Custom
Thanks
computer
so much.
vision in 3 clicks. Yeah, awesome.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Brad and Joseph. Next up, we have Julia Wu presenting from San Francisco, and her project is called Superset. This is a reminder to our audience that both Brad and Joseph will be in our chat room on our website, able to answer any questions you may have. So join them there. Hello, Julia.
Hello. Are we?
Hi.
Okay,
You are good to go.
Cool, awesome. Hi, Laura. Hi, everyone. I'm super excited to be here. I'm going to share my screen. All right, so let's get started. I am Julia, and I'm an engineer based in San Francisco, originally from Brazil and China. Today, I want to talk about resale and peer-to-peer marketplaces. So more than 1 in 3 Gen Z shoppers are on resale, and over 64% of women in America are buying or considering secondhand. People are spending the same amount of time on apps like OfferUp as Instagram, and StockX recently surpassed eBay in total sneaker transactions. And so we have a unique opportunity to organize the product information in this space. Superset is product search for peer-to-peer marketplaces. It's like eBay, but younger and fresher. So what can Superset do for you? First, we help you discover where to shop resale so you don't miss out. Second, we let you compare prices and products across multiple platforms. So let's have a quick look at Superset in action. So say I want to search for women's blazer. What Superset does is it'll aggregate results from multiple sellers across the web, and then I'll be able to see them sorted by price. Here I see some from ThreadUp, from eBay, and then Poshmark. And if I click on an item, I can go directly to the source and finish my purchase there. So no promoted products, sponsored products, fake reviews, or ads. I can also go directly to ThreadUp and do that same search for women's blazers and then see all those results there. So Superset is a fairly recent project and it'll be ready for beta soon. So you all can request early access at getsuperset.co. And thank you so much.
Very cool. Thanks so much for that. So one thing that comes to mind is, it seems like product search on the internet is just a hard problem in general. And I'm kind of curious, is this going to be confined to secondhand projects eternally? Or are you kind of thinking eventually, if I want to find anything, I'll just go online and search it through Superset, as opposed to going for like Amazon.com, for example?
Right. The interesting thing is that there are so many newer platforms coming out for shopping that are beyond the Amazons and eBays of the world. We are seeing a lot of online stores on Shopify as well. So the big ambition for Superset would be to have a much better search for all of these platforms and marketplaces. Yeah.
Very cool. And then I guess you're looking at clothes here. Say I want to go online tomorrow and search like electric scooters. Is that an option through your platform?
Yeah, so the next milestone for Superset is to let users first go from what they want to search for and then tell Superset where to go. So platforms like OfferUp and LetGo, which are marketplaces for exchanging goods, these are great for electronics or scooters or monitors, and other places like the RealReal or ThreadUp, these are more apparel and clothing, as you mentioned. And so if customers know what they want to search for, Superset can then guide them to the right kind of platform.
Very cool. And then say I want to search for something based on not just the price, but also the quality or some other metric related to the item. Kind of how does your search deal with like all the different metrics that one could imagine?
Yeah, so far we are sorting by price, but this is a very like searching by a specific aspect, say size or color or these other categories are very relevant as well. And so the process would be to get all that information either beforehand and storing all of that information and then indexing by that when users are searching. And the other option is to get that data from these platforms through APIs. And so when someone searches for a specific size, certain APIs can let you specify that in the query as well. And so that's definitely an important consideration, because not everyone wants to sort by price. Sometimes it's based on a specific property.
And this might be kind of a troll question, but kind of why has no one solved this problem yet? It seems like the biggest, most like lucrative problem on the internet is to search for products, and yet it is so incredibly hard and annoying every time one does it. Why hasn't it been solved?
Yeah, that's a very important question, and I think there are many reasons. One of them being a little bit of conflicts of interest, in that certain platforms or search engines, the way that their business models work is based on revenues or ads. And so, oops.
Oh,
Did
I
Okay.
think we're also coming up on time, so yeah.
Oh, okay. Yeah. So the incentives when it comes to ranking products, I think, is one. And then another one is that recently these platforms have become a lot more relevant. And so just between 2018 and 2020 is when we're seeing the rise of platforms like StockX, and the Real just IPO'd last year. So there's also a timeliness aspect.
Cool. Makes sense. Thanks so much.
Thank you, Laura.
Awesome. Excellent. Thank you so much, Julia. All right. Our next pioneer is Andrew, presenting from Ukraine, and he'll be presenting Plai. Again, for our audience, if you don't already have a ticket to pioneer.app/livestream, I highly recommend you do so. You can chat with our pioneers real time. You can follow up with them. There's a feature which allows you to give them your email. So if you're an investor, if you're someone who's interested in their product, want to give feedback, you're welcome to do so in our event site. So with that, thank you. And Andrew, take it away.
Thank you, Jackson. Hello, Laura. Hello, everyone. My name is Andrew. I'm from Kiev, Ukraine, and I'm a co-founder and CEO at Plai. Plai is a performance management tool, simplified. The problem we are solving is a well-known one. 2/3 of employees are not engaged at work, and half are looking to change their job. It costs businesses on average $50K to replace an employee that leaves because of disengagement. There are a lot of solutions on the market that try to fix performance management, yet somehow most of them don't work, because most of them are built for admins and HRs, and employees don't actually use them well unless they are forced to. Plai's approach is to build a simple performance management tool that teams adopt from day one and that employees actually want to use. Let me jump to the demo real quick here. So I have a goal here to conduct a decent live stream presentation that I will complete right now. I can also monitor my team's progress on goals on the dashboard. Oh, and I can see that Oleg, my teammate, shared a praise with me, saying that I'm doing a decent live stream. Thank you, Oleg, so much, appreciate it. I can also share the feedback to him or request the feedback for me, as well as fill the performance review for him and help him grow. And of course, much more to help us together, to help us work better together. Our go-to-market strategy is to offer a freemium self-serving product that companies adopt early on instead of spreadsheets, and that they stick to as they grow. Does it work? Well, some investors say no, but who cares if our users say yes? And the feedback from them helps us understand that we're on the right track. We started working on Plai in August last year. So far have 1,200 MRR from 4 paying clients and over 2,300 registered users on the free plan, and all with zero spent on acquisition. Our founding team has experience building software products before, and we are on a mission to help companies create a more engaging and high-performing teams. You can help us by connecting with early-stage tech companies looking to align and engage their teams, and we'll be generous with 50% off discount for you and your friend. Thank you, and would be happy to answer your questions.
Great, thank you so much. So funnily enough, our team is actually thinking of adopting some software in this vein, and we're looking at all the options out there. Could we go back to the live demo, and can you walk me through why we should buy your product?
Yeah, of course. Sure, we'd be glad to. I'm sharing right now, right?
Yes.
Yeah, okay, cool. So we designed Plai to build it a really simple tool for the team to use. And we have no sales, no demos. Well, we have two on request, but usually most of our customers start without them. And this simplicity and intuitiveness is what our customers love and why they are switching, for example, from competitors like Ledis.
And so can I just ask, simplicity and intuitiveness may be often hard things, or sort of it sounds simple, but actually hard to do. Why is it, and this is maybe a common question, why has this problem been so hard to solve for others, and what allowed you to kind of uniquely sort of make a better product?
Well, as most investors challenge us to go into enterprise, so does they challenge all the other startups, and they do, and end up with a bit complex software that tries to fit everyone and doesn't fit eventually most of them. So we had the gut and the ability to create, for example, like only public goals without the ability to log them to promote transparency in the team, as well as to make only team level objectives like this one without the ability to micromanage to the personal level. And with the both simplicity and like this, we help also teams adapt the right processes with this software, which most of other tools did not want to, or were pushed by investors or enterprise clients to complicate.
I see. And so if you kind of think about, and we're coming up on time, but maybe one last question. If you think about like where this is, as you mentioned in year 3 or year 5, are you just trying to create a better version of what already exists in this space? And if not, what does this look like?
We are in some way we do create a better version of and solving the existing problems that somehow yet haven't been solved too, and the overall engagement levels, despite all the cool software and processes that have been on the market, doesn't yet increase the engagement. And we want to help all this massive market of middle-sized companies solve it and become better.
Okay, great. Cool. Well, thanks so much.
Thank you as well.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Andrew, and thank you, Laura. That was your last pioneer in our presentation today. Thanks for being with us.
Yeah, thanks.
Awesome. Our next host today is going to be Tyler Cowen. As Daniel mentioned, Tyler is a formidable figure in the field of economics. He's the chair of economics department at George Mason University, director of the Mercatus Center, the force behind, or one of the two forces behind Marginal Revolution, and a frequent guest at New York Times, Bloomberg, Wall Street Journal, etc. We're very honored to have him here, and thanks for being here, Tyler.
Oh, how is my volume?
Your volume is excellent.
And you can all see me.
We can see you.
Wonderful. I'm ready.
All right. And our first pioneer with Tyler is Jordan Burgess, who will be streaming from the UK and presenting his project, Noted. Hostnotion.
Hello. Let me just move that. Hello, everyone. My name is Jordan. I'm the founder of Hostnotion. The name may be changing soon. And we transform your Notion pages into websites. So the problem is that content management systems are still broken. It's 2020. We've got great ways to make beautiful websites, and we've got great editors, but we still fall back on drafting our blogs in Google Docs or Notion so we can collaborate and get feedback. And then we copy that into the CMS, which we then have to tweak before we can publish. At the same time, there's this product called Notion, which millions of people are now using to document their lives and build internal wikis for their companies. So what we're doing is something that sounds very simple today, but could be very big in the future, which is being able to create beautiful sites from your Notion pages. We provide everything you need to make this work as a website. A custom domain, so your users know who you are and know how to find you. And we make it fast and optimized for search engines and for mobile. We also provide you with analytics, so you know who your visitors are. And this is great, not just for personal websites. We're also having traction already with things like job boards, for your company support pages, for your landing pages for your business, and of course, virus trackers. And in this boring world of content management, there's something genuinely quite revolutionary about this. All your data is in one place, and your website is always up to date. This is the future of publishing. And so we believe that Notion is the new Office suite, and we'll have an ecosystem of other companies around it. And we're unlocking that content within Notion to be shared in the best way. We launched an early version of this just a month ago, and we've got very promising early signs. We've had 200 signups. We're at $150 recurring revenue. This month, we hope to launch the freemium version, which we hope will increase the virality of the product. And we've got a roadmap that takes us far beyond anything that Notion, the company, will be doing as we focus on this no code, no hassle CMS. A little bit about me. I'm an experienced tech founder. I've built and sold tech companies in the past. I started this just to scratch my own itch, but having seen that there's something so fundamentally good about it, I need to make it into a company. And so that is Hostnotion. We turn Notion into websites. It is a fundamentally better way to publish. All your content is in one place. Your website is always up to date. We've got promising early signs, and we're now looking for more early users and for strategic investors for a small seed round later this year. Thanks.
First, a few comments. I don't like the name Hostnotion. Notion is too close to nation, and there's nothing in the name that tells you what it will be. I think your exposition is clear in terms of delivery, but you've never quite explained what the product does or how it changes my life. So right now, I might write into a Word document and then put it into WordPress. I do this all the time. And then I have to go through a hassle. I know what that hassle is like. What the process, the physical motions of my body look like with your product, I don't have an understanding of. You need to make that super clear. And it sounds like there's two versions of the product. One is some mysterious method that allows me to move from one platform to another without having to tinker. That's wonderful. But then I wonder, well, do I have to tinker at all to get it to allow me to move things without tinkering? Like, do I need to say, oh, I'm moving from Word to, to WordPress, or what is it I need to do? And then there's a second exposition of the really big idea, this whole way to publish everything and have it on one place. And I don't know how the small and the large fit together, if they're the same thing, if they're a different thing. So let me ask you in the simplest possible terms, how does your product change the motions of my body?
Right. So lots of good points there. Hostnotion was picked up as starting to sound like Hostnation. It is going to change to something else. That was why I was introduced otherwise. This is a great product for if you're already using Notion. So I use that for tracking what books I'm reading, for collecting together blog posts. I'm also using it with friends when we're collaborating and sort of creating documents. So it's already in Notion. And because Notion is such a great tool that I can lay out everything so beautifully, I actually just want to publish that instantly in the same format. So that's the simple version, which is you just write your notes as you are, and then it is automatically live on your website. You don't have to expose everything. You can choose which pages are public. And so that's probably the fundamental change. So maybe if you're already using WordPress, it's quite a transition. And this is perhaps where the second stage comes in, right? So I think Notion has great simplicity in making your standard content look beautiful. But if you want to put it into a different layout, like you have with Marginal Revolution, that's when it needs to be more of a CMS. And we need to be able to figure out a way of pulling out that content and exposing it to your blogging system. And that's where we think this might go.
But that you're parasitic on Notion isn't clear. but you also need an argument why your product is so good that I should switch to Notion. Because right now I publish on many platforms. I don't use Notion at all. I'm not familiar with it.
Mm.
And why do I need to be, in essence? Presumably it has other disadvantages. WordPress is slow and clunky, but it's been around forever. So I don't worry about having to change where my content is. Somehow, how all the different layers stack together, and what's the critical one fact that I need to think about to decide whether or not to adopt your product. Even with your new and better explanation, that still needs to be much clearer, I think. Does that make sense to you?
Yes. I am not attempting to get people to switch to Notion at this stage. I think that's too much of an ask. So however you're set up.
But implicitly, it is your ask, right? If you're asking them to use your product.
Right. Eventually, yes. But that's not my first, like, my sort of entry point into this market are those people that already love Notion, have all their content there, and I'm just enabling to them to do something that they really want to do. Long term, yeah, I think people will switch to Notion because it is a better product. But actually what I'm doing here isn't dependent purely on Notion. There's a whole host of new note-taking apps that I'd say, like Google Docs, Evernote were like round one. This is now like there's Coda, Airtable, Notion, these things where you can link things together. They're really powerful. And that is, people are adopting those for various reasons. And then this is like the capability that can be added on top of that.
Last question, quick answer. How big can this possibly be?
I think quite large. So it is
specific. What does that mean?
I have not calculated that right now. So at this point, I'm charging a software as a service charge for hosting a website, and that market is large. I haven't looked it up, but big.
Okay, thank you very much.
I mean, if you compare this to something like Ghost or Webflow, these are both like potentially billion-dollar companies.
Okay, we now need to move on, but thank you very much. Enjoyed it.
Thank you.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Jordan. And thank you, Tyler, for those questions. Next up, we have Tarik Dzekman, who is streaming from Sydney, Australia, and he'll be presenting Evolve. This is a note to our audience, anybody watching through Twitter or YouTube proper, that you should go to pioneer.app/livestream to grab a ticket to this event. That'll allow you to chat with our pioneers, to ask questions which may surface during the course of the Q&A. You can also follow our pioneers, which will allow us to connect you with them after the event and distribute points at your discretion to your favorite presentations. With that, Tarik, go ahead.
Hi, I'm Tarik from Sydney, Australia, and I'm here to talk to you about Evolve. We're working on tools for analyzing text data, and we've started with a problem that's very near to us. We've been in the user experience industry for 8 years, and in that time, we felt that there are a lack of good tools for analyzing qualitative research. So we've built Evolve, which is a tool for UX professionals to visually analyze qualitative UX research. A UX researcher starts by logging into Evolve and adding notes as verbatim text data from their research participants. Then they can visually organize those notes into clusters and themes. Other UX research tools require people to tag transcripts and then look at a giant table of tags in order to try and come up with some sort of insights. With Evolve, we've modeled our approach on Trello. Using Kanban boards is a great way to visually organize notes into clusters and themes. And one thing that we've done is created the ability to create findings as you go so that you build a research report as you do your analysis. The next thing that we're working on is AI-powered analysis using unsupervised machine learning techniques to try and help researchers quickly and easily find themes and insights into their notes that they wouldn't have otherwise found. Since launching our beta in October, we've had over 200 users sign up from 38 countries, and over 170 projects have been analyzed with Evolve. We've also recently won a grant from the Australian government to build out our machine learning capability and to launch our paid product. Our plan is to go from our beta and into our AI-guided analysis, and then take that further into analyzing survey verbatims. A lot of Evolve users are currently analyzing surveys in Evolve, and we want to use that machine learning capability to speed that process up, because the amount of text data in surveys goes much further than it does in qualitative research. And beyond that, we want to move our tool into being an industry agnostic text analysis tool. So Evolve is a tool for visually analyzing UX research, and we're looking at expanding to other text analysis. We're looking for introductions to large UX teams around the world, and we're considering a seed funding round later in 2020. Tyler, I'm looking forward to your questions.
Your delivery is clear and good. I think 2 of your early slides are quite vague. You could do without at least one of them. One of your later slides has just too much detail for the resolution almost anyone will have. It doesn't provide any information. Your slide, the plan, I find very hard to follow. It does not work in a 2-minute presentation. You know, it might work in a 20-minute presentation. I think you need to be clear. What's the advantage you're providing people? So I got something out of what you said that, you know, it's tags versus bindings as you go. I know this is not my area, but I don't even know what that means. And you never explained to me why that was an advantage, why this is better than Trello. I could not repeat back to you, and I'm listening for the purpose of evaluating it. So you need to be very upfront with a 1 sentence, no longer than 10 words version. Here's why this is better than Trello or some other product. And that should be clear, intuitive, and then have a very concrete example that I can relate to and imagine myself benefiting from. Not coached in the language of software, but coached in the language of solving an actual problem I am faced with. Those are my main comments. So just what you're really delivering, what you are promising aspirationally. There's too much muddle in the key part of your talk. And I wouldn't know if I had to do selling your product. I wouldn't know how to do it based on what I heard. But tell me now, how is this better than Trello?
So I can, if you don't mind, I might do a quick screen share.
Up to you.
And then I can go from there. So one thing is that Trello is a tool that's very agnostic to the problem that you're solving. And so we're working as an alternative to other UX research tools. So as I said, if you, this is a product from a screenshot from a competitor of ours, where you go and highlight transcripts, and then you have tags, and you've got to try and work through this giant list of tags to try and find insights. So we modeled our approach after Trello. So this is an example of trying to do an analysis of a user test for a car, finding a car rental. And whereas Trello has a single Kanban board where you have to try and keep everything, what we have is this data library on the side that keeps all of your notes, along with a traceability that sort of shows where they've been assigned. And you can try and drag your notes into clusters.
If I can just interrupt, it's already too long an answer. You need for the very first sentence of the answer to tell me what to look for in the rest of the answer. And there's too much setting up the problem. I need to be cued as to what's coming. Like the very first sentence has to tell me what burden is lifted off my shoulders, and maybe I don't get it yet, but then I'll know that's what I need to be looking for through the rest of this.
Okay.
So just like way more economy, way quicker to the point.
The biggest feedback we've got from our users that they like so far is that in Trello, you're sort of confined to your Kanban boards. Whereas with our tool, as you do your analysis, it automatically builds a research report for you that shows the findings and evidence for you.
And then what's the concrete, whatever? It saves me 7 staff hours a week. It saves me the frustration from losing things. What actually happens to me that's good?
Well, it saves you a lot of time. UX researchers hate writing presentations. They're very cumbersome. They take a long time. This saves hours of time putting together a research report.
Now you're hitting it. This should be so close to your beginning. You know, you do the very beginning and then lead with this. Hit me with this. It's like, I feel the pain. I'm suffering. I need relief. You're coming. You're promising it. That's what you need to lead with, if that's what it's really doing.
Okay, great. Thank you. That's very good feedback.
So that's my general advice. Just super clear on the benefits. In so many of these presentations, people are so wrapped up on the inside of it that they're not getting concrete what will change for the human in terms of actual actions. I think we're about out of time. Thank you for doing this, and best of luck.
I appreciate your feedback, Tyler. Thank you.
Thank you, Tyler. Thank you, Tarik. Next up, we have Eibhlin, who will be streaming from Malaysia. Her project is called Phoenix.
Hi, everyone. Hi, Tyler. Thank you so much for making this possible. Let me get to my screen share. Awesome. So my name is Eibhlin and I run Phoenix, Bloomberg for stories about founders. When I was 17, I wanted to be an entrepreneur, but I did not know how. So I Googled and found countless of articles about successful entrepreneurs, their business models, and company exits, but nothing about their personal journeys. The problem is everyone forgets that all big things start small. There are plenty of stories about fully established founders and companies, but few stories about the beginning of things. There are millions of founders who self-edit themselves out just because Elon Musk seems unapproachable and alien. Nobody tells the origin stories of titans, but that's my job and passion. Enter Phoenix. Phoenix started out as a blog, which organically grew to an online newsletter that served more than 7,000 students. I interviewed founders from different industries and around the world. For example, the co-founder of Skype and one of the Jan Tallinn and one of the internet entrepreneurs to make the largest internet exit in Asia, Mark Chang, and shared their life journeys and how they got to where they are today. Students found these stories very relatable and motivational. In July 2018, I self-published the book, The Phoenix Perspective, which contains some of our best and most loved stories after learning that some of our most avid fans do not have access to the internet. With the help of companies and founders, I managed to bring the books to 1,000+ youth in 20+ countries within 6 months of publication. This year, I plan to interview 50 founders, launch a website, aim to get 10K daily visitors by the end of the year, and publish another book by 2021. Phoenix is a Bloomberg for stories about founders. I've already published a book. It's currently in the 2nd edition. I'm looking to build the leading resource of stories and inspiration for the next 1,000 founders, from Elon Musk to J.K. Rowling. I'm raising a small seed round, and I'm seeking introductions to web graphic designers for our website and other founders to cover. If you like and be interested to help us out in any of this area, please feel free to reach out. Thank you so much. Hi, Tyler.
Hello. You have a very charming and likable presentation, which is good. It matches what you're doing, but how this will make revenue, you need to be much clearer about. Or if it's a nonprofit, that's fine, but that is left hovering forever. I think you spend too much time on motivation early on. I would cut that in half and just telling people the thing, what it is, online newsletter with additional products. That should come in the first 20 to 30 seconds of your presentation. And then what is the status of, is this a company? Is this something you're doing individually? What is the institutional infrastructure? Needs to be super clear. And again, at least cue that up in the first 20 or 30 seconds, even if you get to more of it later. The more you talk about revenue and concretes, the more you want to sound a little tougher. I worry, in a sense, in some ways, you're too likable in your presentation. That will get you sympathy and people feeling this is important. But if you're trying to get people to bet on you, it needs a bit of a tough side somehow, like what you will supply that the rest of the market cannot, and what you see as your competitor and what you can do better than they can. Your listeners may not believe there's no one else out there with these stories, may or may not be true, but you need to kind of stake out your ground, like, no, we really are the only, or yes, there's this, but we do it better, and so on. Does that make sense to you?
Yes, thank you so much, Tyler, for your feedback. May
What
I
is the
address?
revenue model?
All right, so my revenue model is basically like any other author. I publish a book and I sell it. But that's not the only way I plan to grow in the future. Right now, I'm a single person running this, but I'm hoping to raise around and potentially meet other people who might be interested in this to actually form a company. Because to me, a book in Malaysia is the best platform to reach our readers. But I realize that might not be the case around the world. So I'm planning to—
Hardly any books make money. I've written, I think, 18 books, 3 times on the bestseller list, and I could not live from the revenues off my books if that's what it came down to. People won't believe the book can make money, but if the book can make money, then that's the business plan you need to sell people on. not the stories per se. What is your plan for having platforms for marketing the book so the book can be a bestseller? Do you see what I'm saying?
Yes. So, okay, I'm going to actually say that actually selling books, you can make money. The thing is, I actually had a book deal from one of the most recognizable business publications in Asia who wanted to publish the compilation of my newsletters. But I learned that the author buyback price, or the author's the price that they pay you as an author, is very little. So I learned if I strip down the whole business model and I actually did everything myself, I could actually make a very much significant revenue, because about 80% goes to the publisher. And from there, another 60% often goes to the distributor. But if I do everything myself, which I have done with this, then I'll actually make significantly more revenue. And so being online is not only about pushing and selling the book. Our plans to grow online is actually to grow our audience for the newsletter, for the stories on a different platform, and target and actually generate revenue through online, through ads, through product placements, and so forth. And also actually through subscriptions, because I'm planning to actually try to build a community of subscribers for the stories online.
You know, I would be just way clear, a revenue model. Why the book and associated products is a revenue model requiring seed money people won't get. Malcolm Gladwell, as far as I know, doesn't have seed money. Let's say you're as successful as he is. Well, he just funds what he does from his book revenues and talk revenues. You might also think how you as a speaker is a source of revenue. Now is not the best time. I believe we're out of time, need to move on to the next. But thank you very much. I very much enjoyed it.
Thank you so much, sir.
All right. Thank you so much, Eibhlin. And Tyler, your last pioneer with us today is going to be Alex Gunnarson and Zach Hudson, streaming from Utah and LA, respectively, presenting their project Deft. This is a reminder to our audience, anybody who has tuned in the past few minutes and don't know the sort of the how-to of what's going on, please go to pioneer.app/livestream if you're tuning in via Twitter. And you can get a ticket to this event where you can engage with our pioneers, both via chat, distributing points to your favorite presentations, etc. We'll see you there. Go ahead, Alex.
Hey, I'm Alex, and my co-founder Zach and I are building Deft, Amazon 2.0, where you can type like you speak, search by image across all product sites. The product search is painful. I tried searching for a gray couch with wood trim on the bottom in a mid-century style for under $600, and it took me 30 hours to find it, scrolling through hundreds of pages of irrelevant results. Here's what happens when you search that on Amazon, gray couch with wood trim on the bottom. The first result is wood polish. You have this bathroom surfaces scrubber, cat scratching toys, ads, and so much clutter, I don't even know where to look. Here's our product, searching the same thing, gray couch with wood trim on the bottom, that fits at least 3 people, so even just adding something extra. As you can see, the results are highly relevant from all over the internet, article, all modern, and so on. You can also search by image. You can link one, you can upload one, and you can also refine that search with text. You can say something like this, but in blue. And as you can see, highly relevant results come back. For the past 8 weeks, we've gotten an average of 45% growth in organic signups per week, and we also onboarded several beta users. As for a go-to-market strategy, we are leveraging SEO and community engagement on the part of our users to drive traffic. And as for revenue, we are having users make insight purchases and getting affiliate revenue. We are focusing on a single vertical, furniture, rather than others. Our next milestone is to get 40,000 in net revenue per month, given 5,000 monthly active users, each spending 100 a month, making those insight purchases and getting 8% affiliate revenue. We're third-time founders. I have 7 years startup engineering experience. My co-founder has 7 years e-commerce technology and management experience, and so we're a good fit for the problem. To reach our next milestone, we project we'll need 600,000 in investment. This covers our living expenses for a year, 2 employees, and tech costs, and brings us to that 490,000 in net revenue per year. Thanks.
Your presentation was good and clear. Your idea seems to me one of the best I've heard in, say, my last year of having heard ideas, which is great. But as I'm hearing this, my big worry is I wonder, gee, maybe these guys have just mastered the gray sofa trick. And how good your search is for a wide variety of queries, you need to signal that you have studied that clearly and how far along you are. Because if all you can do is the gray sofa trick, the rest might be uncrackable. Maybe you wrote the whole thing just to do the gray sofa trick. So I want to know that right up front. And if you're not that far along, that might be fine, but it's a very different business plan than if you could put in, you know, a pink Mercedes-Benz or something. I don't think you should say it takes you 30 hours without your product. It seems exaggerated. It feels to me I could make a phone call to someone and find out in 20 minutes. Now, 20 minutes is an eternity in internet time, and I think that would still be enough for you to succeed. But 30 hours seems like an exaggeration. I also would discuss, how do you make sure people stay buying it on your platform and that you get the affiliate fees? So a possible response to this is I use you for search. And then once I sort of find what it really is or where it is, then I use Google and I end up buying it through Google or Amazon. And maybe that won't happen. But if you could think through and present why your site is sticky, because I think, as you know, even from Bing, the most common query is how to get to Google. So what makes you sticky? What other features of your site will have it work in that way? And I would just ask, how far along are you? Or is it just the gray sofa trick?
Yeah, good question. So we have built out our image search basically just as you see it. And so that part's working really well. We have built out enough of our text search that it gives value to users. However, we are still working on it, you know, to generalize in the sort of way you're describing. And so we have a roadmap for that. We have a clear path to continue to provide more and more value. We're not trying to solve.
That's all not specific. Like, I want to hear the specific. We have a roadmap. There's a clear path. That makes me nervous if I'm investing in this.
Okay.
Like, what percentage of queries within the furniture space give you something meaningful? 40%, 89%, 2%?
Yeah, I mean, it's on the lower side right now. I would say, you know, it's about 20% or so, which is, I would say, better than Amazon in some circumstances.
Sure, but what do you need to get that up to 88%? Do you need talent? Do you need money? Do you need to solve an algorithmic problem? What's the actual scarce input in your venture?
Yeah, the scarce input is we are exploring machine learning models, especially hybrid ones, as proposed by Gary Marcus. We are also, we're going to need talent to continue to build it out. I can do it myself. I've done this sort of thing before, and I have built it up to this point. However, you know, more hands make lighter work. So yeah, that's why we're mentioning that we need some employees for this.
On that, I think you still need to just make it sound better, and you sound more in command, and answer always in terms of details and specifics. Now, in terms of stickiness, why are you going to get those affiliate fees rather than you're just a first stop on the way to Amazon or Google?
Currently, we are doing things that don't scale, which is that we are clicking through and getting the affiliate links once someone buys something on our site. We realize that's not scalable, and so the next stop on our trip is going to be drop shipping. Hopefully, we won't stay in the affiliate area for that long, or we'll stay there for as long as we need to, but not beyond that. And drop shipping has much better margins, and obviously, we don't have to rely on click-throughs, and just like you were saying, it's a little bit tricky to make sure that we capture that revenue. So yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, I would just say that answer, I wouldn't quite say it's too long, but you need to lead with the actual answer to the question and then flesh out the detail. Because when you're saying part of that, I don't quite see where it's going, and I'm not sure which parts of it I should be evaluating how. So be more direct in starting with where you want me to end up, and then I'll hear the story and be able to make sense of it.
Drop shipping, that's the answer. We're moving to that.
Okay, something like that. And not everyone even knows what drop shipping is. I don't, for instance.
Okay.
So just like clarity and specificity throughout. And is there a way you could imagine this being somehow connected to Google and Amazon? Like maybe you're the first stop, but you get something from them, even if they buy it from Amazon.
Yeah, you were going to say something, Zach?
No, I think, I mean, that's the affiliate revenue model that we're going to be sticking to. We've also been toying around with a payment gateway on the platform as well to keep them on the platform. A lot of users leave because they can't finish their transaction on the site itself. So we've been testing that out with some users right now, and we're getting some really good feedback.
And the affiliate thing, do you need a sales force that goes around to my crummy little local sofa store and like enlist them in your company? Or is it somehow automatic, or you're just going to have so many people on your site, my crummy little sofa shop is going to come to you? What's the model there in terms of sales?
Most of the bigger players right now already have an affiliate program that's set up. But yeah, for some of the smaller ones that we'd want to onboard, we would have to go after those.
But even the big ones, why should they come to you? Is it that your users will drive them to you, or some other plan?
I suppose my question is, I'm not quite getting what you're asking. Are you asking how are we getting traffic to our site?
How are you getting suppliers to be interested in dealing with you?
Okay. As for the affiliate part, we're just simply scraping a bunch of products, and the users that are on our site are finding them. As for, how are we connecting with suppliers? That's more of the drop shipping, i.e. they take care of the fulfillment, while a user just says, hey, I want this thing. And behind the scenes, there's, I guess, to answer your question more directly, there are certain platforms that let you connect with a bunch of different suppliers. So we don't have to establish those relationships ourselves. It's just kind of done as a service.
And the benefit to them is they're going to just get more revenue. It's more searches that we're pushing to them.
All that should be clearer. And just your sense, is that something that will happen automatically, or is that a problem you need to solve? I mean, a backer will want to see that you understand that. And that's not evident. Anyway, they tell me I'm out of time on this one and in general, but thank you all and best of luck with this.
Thanks.
Thank you very much.
Appreciate your feedback.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Deft team. And thank you very much, Tyler, for being here. Excellent questions, keeping them on their toes. We really appreciate it. Next up, our next host is Zach Sims. Zach is the founder of Codecademy, which is obviously a pillar in the field of online learning. Since starting Codecademy in 2011, they've taught over 50 million people how to code. And that is incredible in today's day and age. We will be joining Zach, your first pioneer. First of all, hello, Zach.
Hey, thank you for having me.
Thanks for being here. Your first pioneer is Jura Fitzgerald and Vladimir from Ukraine, and they'll be presenting robotic tape.
Awesome.
Hi. So my name is Jura. Here is Vladimir. We both from Ukraine. We work on robotic tape, and robotic tape is automatic salesman. So the problem that we solve that salespeople spend hours a day on manual repetitive work with software. And our solution for this is software robots that work with the software like humans through user interfaces. They can click on buttons, they can type text on keyboard, and so on. So our value proposition is AI-powered outreach automation in social networks. For example, let's say you want to reach some salespeople. You can go to LinkedIn. You can open post from Salesforce, and you have list of people. Of salespeople, and if you will copy paste this list manually, you will spend hours of time. Or you can insert the link to this post into the robotic tape, and robots will do everything for you just in seconds. So here. So we have automated thousands of hours of human labor. Our business model is SaaS. We sell in subscription for credit renewal and credit using for running these automations. Currently, we are looking for a seed round for 100,000. And to sum up, robotic tape is automatic salesman that automating hours of human efforts, and it doesn't require any knowledge in coding. Thank you.
Awesome. It seems very, very cool. I would be curious, is the primary use case you guys are working with today is LinkedIn, kind of getting leads from LinkedIn, entering them into a Google Sheet. Do you do the reach out as well, or how does that take me through the average customer using the product?
So with Robotic Tape, you can automate the lead generation process from LinkedIn. So we can get leads from posts. You can get leads from search. Moreover, we have features that other product doesn't have. It's continuous monitoring of data changes. For example, we can monitor if some person became online because he most likely will answer to a question if he online. So, and will notify via messenger or email.
Awesome. And do you have a primary customer when you guys go to market to begin with? Do you think it's salespeople, recruiting, or do you want to go with kind of a horizontal approach where just anyone who wants to automate lead reach out?
Yeah, now we are focusing on salespeople with LinkedIn automation. Yeah, and also we have behind, so between our customers, marketing people, and HR people.
And how do you think about reaching those customers and kind of getting your first, 10, 100 customers?
Can I answer that? So we have four type of activities to bring customers. First type of activities is very simple. It's Google AdWords. So we have analyzed what requests people do when they search for such kind of products. So we have competitors, so it wasn't difficult. Second type of reaching our customers is also simple. We are doing this with our own software. So we run tapes and then
most efficient.
Yeah. So we have a conversion rate around 5% with this type of activity. Third type of activity is we call that wow effect. So when we advertise and tell stories about some kind of interesting tapes, for example, as Jura explained, or for example, when we monitor 100 CIO from different companies, and when they say, for example, like whatever, like I don't know, something, we send notification about that to so we bring this some kind of interesting tapes to the market. And first type of activities, we call this legs. We are going with our legs to potential customers and explain them how to use our product. So these are four kind of approaches we use.
Awesome. When you see tape in 5 years, what do you think, how big, do you think the scale of automation activities are? Obviously, you're starting with LinkedIn today, kind of where do you go from there?
Right now, we are on the sales-enabled market. It's already $2.5 billion market, and annual growth rate 23%.
Yeah, so if you're talking about how is this solution in 5 years, frankly speaking, we don't know about 5 years, but we see that there is a huge field in tuning the process of sales. So right now we are working on only first step. This is outreach. So once we are successful in this, we can move on in the same market. We can move on with other features and to cover other processes. So this is a plan for like next year.
Awesome. Well, I'm really excited about what you guys are building. I think we are about out of time.
Thank you.
Yeah, thank you.
Thank you, Jura and Vladimir. Appreciate it. And thank you, Zach. Next up, Pioneer is Vasek. presenting from the Czech Republic, and he'll be presenting Foundry. Again, to our audience, anybody tuning in through Twitter or YouTube, please go to our website at pioneer.app/livestream for your ticket to this event. You can distribute points to your favorite presentations. You can chat with pioneers directly and follow up with them via email. That is all available on our website at pioneer.app/livestream. Go ahead, Vasek.
Hi, Zach. Hi, everyone. I'm Vasek. My co-founder and I are based in Prague, and we are working on Foundry. Foundry is the fastest way to build, debug, and deploy serverless backend. With serverless backend, you don't have to manage your own server, which makes it very easy to write. At the same time, though, the serverless backend is also annoyingly hard to debug, test, deploy, and collaborate across your teams. The current state is that developers either deploy their code directly to the cloud to get up-to-date production data and environment, and this process takes minutes and you have to do it every time you want to test some changes, or they manage their own local environment, which they must configure manually and keep up to date with the production. This takes a significant amount of time and skill, plus it's also hard to share this environment with your team. The current solutions focus mostly on how to easily deploy the code from your computer onto the production. We handle the full flow, from the development, debugging, testing, and all the way to the deployment. Foundry is universal. You can use it to build both backend for your iOS app and backend for a web app. Foundry is a CLI tool that once started, it automatically spins up a development environment in the cloud for you. Your environment is pre-configured, always in sync with your production environment and data, and auto-managed by Foundry. Front-end developer, for example, can even directly connect to the backend developer's environment and integrate new API endpoint as it's being developed in the real time. We make sure you find production bugs during the development and not after the deployment. But it still feels like if you were developing locally. Every time you change your code, we automatically push the changes to the cloud, run the code, and give you back the result. And the feedback is near instant. We launched our previous MVP on the product hunt and received almost 700 upvotes. We also have more than 500 signed up users. And right now, we are testing the CLI with the first few users. Currently, we support Firebase functions and Google Cloud functions. And in the near future, we will support Lambda functions on AWS. Eventually, we want to handle all types of backends, not just serverless. For example, there are similar problems in the Kubernetes world. We are a team of 2 developers, and together we have built tens of projects. We are building Foundry as a solution to our own problem. To sum it up, Foundry is the fastest way to build, debug, and deploy serverless backend. And right now, we are looking for introductions to the first customers. And we are also looking for introductions to the investors to start building relationships for the seed round we want to raise later this year. Thank you.
Great. Thanks for that. So, curious how you think about, you mentioned kind of all the upvotes on Product Hunt, getting 500 to 700 people that have signed up early. How do you think of getting enmeshed in developer communities, to get them using Foundry? I know, Firebase, et cetera, invested a lot to grow early on. I'm curious how you think about growing Foundry, beyond the initial early launch phases.
So currently we are focused especially on Firebase developers and on the integration of Firestore and Cloud Functions, because there are like bigger pain points when you want to create multiple different environments, for example, development environment, staging and production testing environment. And also we are focused on, well, we find out that mobile developers have such problems more than website developers, because often these tools like Zite, for example, are meant for website developers, and mobile developers, like, we just talk to one and they have to create new projects manually and copy data like with their own scripts, and it's pretty annoying. So this is our target audience. And also a lot of people who signed up because they are working in a dev shop where they have multiple projects and they have to take care of all these environments manually, and it's pretty annoying. So that's our go-to-market strategy.
And so the go-to-market is you'll sell to dev shops, or you'll kind of grow organically and through individuals, because I think different types of sales cycles probably to get to both of those.
Yeah, yes. Right now we are mostly focused on individuals to get all the bugs out from CLI, and smaller teams. And later we want to focus on bigger teams and possibly enterprises with much more features.
And how much progress, have you made to date? It seems like from what you've explained in the deck that using Foundry is, fully possible end to end today to deploy serverless. Is that the case? What kind of milestones do you see yourself hitting? You mentioned starting to raise money Q3, Q4. What do you think it takes to get there?
So when we start working on Foundry, we like our approach was a little bit different, and the MVP we built on Verihubs was mostly focused on one-click deploying full build features. And this CLI tool that we are building now, we iterate to it about 2 weeks ago or 3 weeks ago, but we have already the debugging and deploying part running. And that we think is the most important now, because all these tools are focused on deploying, but almost none of these tools are focused on development cycle itself.
And so why focus on owning the whole thing end to end? You mentioned, everyone's focused on deploying. Does it spread you too thin to kind of focus on everything from, develop, debug, deploy? Or do you think, as a small company, you can do all of those things well?
Yeah, we will definitely do it gradually. And we think that these other companies take deployment and development as two other things. But with our approach, we take it as everything is part of development. So the deployment is part of development, and the testing is also part of it. And you should be able to, or there should be a tool that integrates it into your normal coding workflow, as if you were just running, read, evaluate, print loop. And so with that focus, we feel it's like one big product. It's not different products or like different use cases.
Got it. Yeah, I think my only feedback is it seems selling it in that case probably seems to be like a replacement for different tools, like you were saying, at different steps in the workflow. I wonder how you can kind of convince the developers to be, to try something new that replaces multiple tools in their workflow instead of kind of starting small and focusing on one part of the problem. But it seems like you're starting a little bit small and you'll expand over time.
Yes, and we want to, for example, with Terraform, we think we can up to some point integrate it into our workflow or into developers' workflow, so they don't have to switch completely. They can start using our development cycle and gradually keep using more and more, because it will be easier just to use eventually our tool, because we start at development, not deployment.
Yeah, awesome. I think we're about out of time.
Thank you.
Thanks, Vasek.
Awesome, thanks, Vasek. Our next pioneer is Clark Urzo, who will be streaming from Philippines and presenting his company Blackbelt.
Right. Thank you, Jackson. So let me just live stream here. Yeah, there we go. Right, okay, so hi everyone, I'm Clark from Manila, and today I'm going to talk about Blackbelt. So the problem is learning new skills is a difficult problem. It's hard to find good content not optimized for clicks, and it's hard to stick to any given course. If, for example, you Google how to write a novel, you will see this cliche advice from too high level for beginners, content farms, peddling expensive courses or books on writing, and ad-riddled how-to guides. So wouldn't it be great if you can just write to learn writing? Enter Blackbelt. So Blackbelt lets you break down skills into tiny exercises. These exercises allow you to learn a complex skill via small, repeatable steps. People can hold Kaggle-like competitions for difficult exercises, and these so-called bounties are what incentivizes learning in the long term. Mastering a complex skill is never the end. You can build up your expertise as you master more exercises in the skill tree, which keeps track of your learning progress automatically. Now, this is a saturated market, I know, but we believe this is the only method that makes sense for long-term learning. Our approach is to make the user feel growth from instant feedback. And well, our go-to-market strategy is to get referrals from niche writing subreddits first and foremost, and then affiliate authors. We will also have an onboarding process for people who are already skilled. And the next couple of months will be spent on finishing the MVP and getting my first users, then focusing on the writing skill tree until I get ramen profitability, and then maybe expanding to like other niches like programming. I'm a second-time founder already. I was CTO and then chief scientist of Dwyer, which still has a monopoly on airline crew training programs in the Philippines. And Kevin from Eventbrite serves as my advisor for the most part. He's helping me in terms of network and immigration. To do all this, I need to grow my company quickly and get help from domain experts who are excited to pass on their knowledge to potential apprentices. That's all. Thank you very much.
Yeah, so something very near and dear to me, obviously, the skilling up and improving yourself. So really cool to see. I'm curious, one of the things that I think we've had trouble with at Codecademy is how you generate great content. So you talk about the bounties and you talk about building a skill tree. How is all that being generated? And how do you think about that scaling over time? Like, is writing a concrete skill where you're finished creating courses?
Right. So actually, for the writing skill tree, I will be providing most of that content. So I'm a part of a workshop group running writing workshops for years now. But for like the other skills, I would ask domain experts to actually provide build the skill trees themselves. So for example, I can ask a programmer to build up a skill tree from console to actual running code, and I will actually eventually open up the building these skill trees to the community. So it's kind of like a crowdsource thing eventually. Like people will be able to build skill trees with each other.
And do you plan on there being kind of one canonical way for people to, there's one skill tree for writing, or there are multiple different skill trees? I think, one of the things that we experienced was this challenge in brand perception with UGC, right? Where, if 50 people are making a skill tree, that's different from Blackbelt standing behind it yourself and saying this is the authoritative way to learn writing.
Right. Yes. So, yeah, that's actually one of the main problems that I'm seeing. And the thing is, I feel like getting that featured skill tree is one of the best ways to solve this problem. But then again, because I want to give people the freedom to try different approaches, because I feel like that's one of the main things that Blackbelt is really good on. It's more flexible than current solutions in that, for example, if I want to teach a specific writing style from scratch, then I would be able to make my own skill tree, and people will be following that skill tree instead of the usual mainstream one.
And what's the incentive for people to create content?
Right. Well, so there's two things actually. So one, I think it is clear that a lot of people do actually produce great content without for example, monetary incentives, for example, in Wikipedia. And I feel like that's one thing. And the other thing is that, as I said in one of the slides from before, maybe I can bring that up. Hold on. So like I said, there's gonna be hold on. There's where is it? Anyway, like I said, there's going to be an apprenticeship model here. So in terms of the business model, people can in fact subscribe to more people who are more skilled than them. So there's a subscription thing that they can actually get paid to build these courses for other people.
Awesome. I think we're about running out of time, but I would say, one of the biggest things to focus on is that content model. I think that was something that was really challenging for us in the early days. And I think there's a whole bunch of different ways to look at it. You can incentivize people by letting them sell, courses like you talked about, or by letting them subscribe. But I think making sure that there is that pure incentive and not just relying on kind of the Wikipedia style, doing it for good, I think will be an important thing for you guys to consider.
All right, thank you. And I really like Code Academy. So
thanks.
Yeah, thanks for the feedback. Right.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Clark. And thank you very much, Zach, for being here. We really appreciate it.
Thanks for having me.
Our next host is going to be Patrick McKenzie, key team member at Stripe, particularly Stripe Atlas. He's been supporting startups for a long time, directly and indirectly through the internet. Better known to many of you as Patio 11. Thank you so much for being here, Patrick.
Thanks very much for having me.
No, it's particularly late your time. We appreciate it. Thank you. All right.
Great to see everybody from places like Malaysia, Australia, et cetera, on the live stream.
Oh, yeah.
It's at Tokyo here, so similar time zone.
And our first pioneer with Patrick is going to be Stas Kulesh, streaming from Chile, originally from New Zealand, presenting Karma.
Hi, my name is Stas. I'm from New Zealand, and for a couple of years now we've been building Karma. It's a true bonding for remote teams. It's basically an inline tool for team to share the appreciation. Let's say this Tom person, he did something good for me. So right there on Slack, I'm just typing in a quick sentence that creates this funky card that everybody would see. That goes onto a special channel, it goes onto a leaderboard. You can fine tune that. The research shows that people quit because they feel unappreciated. This is not just me, this is the science. And 3 out of 4 millennials will live in less than 2 years. The managers and team leaders, they can get more out of these tiny bits of information. They can align this with the company values. They can see how the person changes over time. And there is a fun element to this, and also some deep rooted analytics, which enterprise actually enjoy a bit. Why we believe this is essential. The less people feel appreciated at work, the more money they want. This is study showing. The longer people stay, the less it costs to the company to hire a new person. The turnover cost, someone mentioned before, it's 50,000 in the US. I think it's generally less than that, but still some money. Customers loving this because it's a habitual thing over time. And I believe in a month or so, the team, and we've seen it on Pioneer community, to be honest, in a month or so, people start using this as the tool for showing more than just a thank you, something that is more important to them. It's like a public peer appreciation and recognition. Their monthly revenue retention rate is higher than 100%, and churn is really low. We've been with this working on this for a couple of years now, and the revenue is growing steadily. Almost 200 teams paying, and we also have the freemium model, which means about 2,000 teams using this altogether. We believe that with this tool, we can unlock a 30 billion market, which is employee-centric solution for human resources. Raising seed round this year. Thank you very much. This is Karma, true bonding for remote teams.
Cool. So do you mind if I ask, what's your objective for this business? Do you want to continue growing it out of the 15K MRR that you already have? Do you want to seek investment, attempt to swing for that $30 billion market, et cetera?
Yeah, well, we believe that this point system is actually working, and this tool that we built for Slack and Microsoft Teams, they both featured on the stores. This is how we get the organic traffic at this stage. But this is just the beginning. The model is working. People need this kind of karma appreciation. Karma bot, we occupied this term on Google. We want to make it work for email. We want to make it work for MetaMost. We want to make it work for all sorts of platforms. And then as a company, you join, you plug everything in, and Karma does the job. You can send the plus on Basecamp if you're there, and you can get it on Slack. I mean, I'm not sure if the Basecamp is using Slack, but you can do it on Asana.
I think I understand the objective for the tool, but just your own objective for the company. What is of the many paths in the world, what is the path that you want to walk down?
All right. I think it was one of the slides that, generally speaking, we believe that this Karma the things that you get through karma, these tiny appreciation bits, they are creating your trust profile. And in essence, we're building Trustpilot for people instead of companies. So if we work together in this company and you shared some appreciation and you shared some good words about me, I can choose to show this on my profile. And next time I'm looking for a job.
Protecting your time, I'm going to try rephrasing my question. What does success look like for you?
It depends. At the moment, we are bootstrapping and we are kind of fine, but we want to scale it up and see if it can be really big.
Okay. So we use a similar system at work. I do rather enjoy it. I will candidly say that, like, when my boss or when the other decision makers in the company look at like my personal performance, it is not my perception that the number of karma points that I've achieved in a given month hugely next to like dollars of marginal revenue created or whatever else I'm scored on. That is not actually what I'm scored on. So I can believe that employee tools are like a $30 billion market, but I think that you need to get closer to the money and closer to the sort of like core operating sinews of large businesses to get there. And it isn't, I don't know, this is sort of like fundamentally a sort of B2C within companies kind of interaction. I don't know that you get to the big B2B interaction without like sort of crossing over into management land and HR land and really understanding how they rock the world. And so the biggest thing that I would focus on for you, if you're attempting to grow it massively beyond a Slack bot that has an nice organic growth chart to it, which BTW props for that, is to like get into like the really hard and meaty problems of managing people, creating impact, doing performance reviews, retaining people, et cetera, which likely looks substantially different in character than the current thing does. And with that, I think we are roughly at time.
Yeah, all good. Thank you for the feedback. Yeah, the performance we can do, this is all in the roadmap. The bigger vision is there. We just work with what we have. At the moment, this is the appreciation and recognition and the fun of it. Thanks a lot. Thank you.
Thank you, and best of luck and skill to it.
Thanks so much, Stas. All right, next up on our list, pioneers, we have Andrey Pyankov. He'll be streaming from Moscow, Russia, and presenting his project and company, Airsite.
Hello. I need to enable a video somehow. Oh, okay, yeah, sorry. Hello, I'm Andrey. I'm from Moscow, Russia, and I'm building Airsite, a mobile app for building simple websites. Creating a website is easier than ever. There are hundreds of no-code tools. There is just one problem. They're all on desktop. And more than half of users access internet only on their smartphone. With Airsite, anyone can build a website right on their mobile phone or tablet. And let me show you how easy it is. You can pick from a number of templates or start with an empty page. Then type a name of your website. Hosting on Airsite subdomain is free. You can add sections one by one. Headings, forms, gallery, and other. You can also add individual buttons, images, text blocks. Then you can customize any block on your website, just size, font, colors, shapes, etc. As soon as you hit save, your website is live. You can visit this one at pioneer.airsite.com. So here is a small sample of websites built with Airsite: a cafe in Rome, Discord bot, small motel, an online store selling children toys. I applied to Pioneer with just a basic prototype 9 months ago. Today, there are almost 20,000 websites built with Airsite, and they are visited by tens of thousands of people. To recap, Airsite is a mobile app for building websites, growing quickly. Next steps are building support for selling things online, more embedded templates and blocks, and we're also raising a seed round. Thank you.
Cool. One super minor piece of feedback on that last page. You mentioned page views as a metric. Page views isn't a metric for you because the success of your users and getting people to their website does not actually drive success of the business. The thing that probably drives success of the business is signing up more people to create websites and having those their use of those websites stick over time and successfully charging them money. The page views is sort of called a vanity metric. And investors in particular, when you raise the seed round, are extremely sensitive to the inclusion of vanity metrics because they assume that if you put in a vanity metric that looks good, it means the metrics that actually matter probably don't look good. So if you have good metrics, lead with good metrics. I like the idea here. I think you need a crisp articulation of who in the world both needs a website and does not have a desktop computer. And I think that articulation is probably SMBs who spend substantially all of the day at their retail establishment or whatever, don't have a computer, the computer is used for the register, et cetera, don't have time to be doing it, but do have two hands on a phone substantially all the time that they are not using not directly interacting with the customer. And the pushback that you're going to get is, what is the purpose of a website to that person? And isn't that purpose better served by a social network page? Like, can't they create more commerce through Instagram, which gets them built-in distribution versus the website? So my question to you, what is the purpose of the website to that person? How does that solve distribution goals for them in a way that Instagram or a Facebook page does not?
Yeah, great question. I guess for those people, the website kind of serves the additional marketing and kind of having a more presentable view for people visiting them on the web and kind of looking better, just making the business look better in the eyes of their customers. There's also, I think, the big chunk of people who don't have access to desktop but sell things online, and they currently do it on Instagram and kind of just receiving messages and things like that, and serving them is probably would be a big part of the business as well. So I would say that there are some people who don't, basically a lot of people in developing countries who don't have access to the desktop, but basically doing business on the internet and receive orders and kind of want to have a website.
Mm-hmm. Cool. I have a bracing question for you, and it's for essentially everybody building something. And this is not meant to discourage you at all. This is just to keep us all honest. If you had an evil twin, and your evil twin had all the skills you do, all the ambition you do, et cetera, and your evil twin was a product manager at Facebook or Shopify, would that evil twin be more effective at creating value in this business than you will be? And if not, why
not? Good question. Yeah. I'd say resources matter a lot if you're talking about that, just having all the resources of Facebook or Shopify to build something like that and kind of offer it to the whole audience they already have. I guess there is definitely a big plus for the evil twin. I guess for me it's maybe how small it is right now, and just working with few people who are using it right now and kind of use it for their weird kind of small niche things might provide some value. Yeah.
I think we're closing to the end. I would encourage you to think very hard on what the distribution for these things looks like and how you can overcome disadvantage like a Facebook or Shopify has. But excited to see this, and I love the user experience of it.
Thank you. Thanks.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Andrey. Our next pioneer is Williem. Williem will be streaming from Jakarta, Indonesia, and presenting his project and company Verihubs.
Biometric verification platform. I'm presenting from Jakarta, Indonesia. Mobile verification has been used for many use cases such as mobile payment, password recovery, customer verification, and etc. However, it's still prone to identity theft. In 2019, there were 208 million losses from online fraud in Indonesia. Why? Because it's very easy to steal the SMS OTP in Indonesia. Thus, we introduced Veripass, a face and liveness verifications on mobile device. We can see on the demo on the right, the customer are asked to follow the instructions, which is a part of liveness verifications. And then we do the face verifications on the fly on the mobile device. In addition, we perform the behavior analysis to better reliable verifications. And Verihubs is a mobile SDK, so it is easily integratable with the client's applications. And Verihubs is more robust to identity theft. Here we show two spoofing scenario, one with one image and another one with 3 images. If we use spoofing with one image, it doesn't pass the liveness verifications. And if we use spoofing with 3 images, it passed the liveness verifications, but it couldn't pass the behavior verifications. Yeah. And the market size in Indonesia is very big. For the password recovery use case, there are $107 million only for the password recovery use cases. And it is even bigger if we expand the products to other horizontal products. And yeah, Verihubs is a mobile biometric verification platform in Indonesia, and we are ready to disrupt SMS verification in Indonesia. Currently, we are looking for overseas clients and partners for better understanding for overseas user requirements, and we are raising seed round to increase the sales team and the product development. Thank you for listening. Yeah, I would like to have the question and answers.
Thanks very much. So help me understand what the current scope of the product is. You mentioned that you do biometric authentication. Do you also do identity? And the difference between those two things is like, I'm Patrick, I have an account at Facebook. Facebook has some like biometric data on me. If you were able to connect me to my existing account, that is like, that's authentication. If you do identity, if I don't have an account with them, you can still like rep the fact that this person on the internet is actually Patrick to Facebook in a way that Facebook can rely on.
Yes, currently we are not doing the identity verifications because we have to have lots of data about that. And data is very sensitive in Indonesia, so we are prefer to provide the technology, verification technology, that can be integrated by most of the companies in Indonesia, actually.
Okay. I think there's sort of like a chicken and egg thing if you're getting this implemented somewhere, which is that you know, they already have 100 million customers. They have biometrics on probably 0 of them, and they get 1 million password reset requests a day. How do you get it such that 90% of the people requesting a password have biometrics on file?
Well, it is based on our clients. When we talk with them, they said that the numbers of SMS OTP requests in a month up to like 300 or 400,000 in a month for 1 million customers. So we think that it's a huge market, so that we are like ready to like disrupt the SMS verifications.
So I totally buy that about SMS verifications, having seen the numbers myself at 4 or 5 businesses now. But as a business adopted in technology, I start day one with like zero biometric profiles. What point in my business do you hook into that gets me to like a heavily non-zero number of biometric profiles? And how do you accelerate my desire to do that as someone who might not have like sway in my company on like key levers of conversion events where I could?
Well, I still have not got the point with the zero biometric profile, but the idea is we don't save any data of our clients, so that our clients can like believe us, trust us to process the whole data, because the data is processed on the mobile device. So no face image, no biometric image that is safe to our like server. Like, so our client can trust us on that area actually.
So I understand that answers the data security use case, but like we're trying to authenticate, not that there's just a live person in front of the phone, right? It has to be like a live person who's actually the person that has authority on the account that you're trying to access.
Yes.
Right.
Yes.
How do you know that the person that is on the phone is the same as the person who controls the account if the records for the controller of the account does not have biometrics on it?
Well, yeah, we extract some kinds of features like face features on the server. Like it can be our server, it can be our client server, depends on the regulations. But we like perform the similarity between those features. But the idea is, even though we save those features, like we couldn't know who is this because it's in the numeric value, so we don't have any idea about that.
Okay, so you use the system once, you generate some sort of like digital fingerprint, etc., of a user. You pass that to the client, and then the client maintains that digital fingerprint. And then the next time someone presents a digital fingerprint, you match them against each other. I think the cold start problem for this is really real when you're selling it to large companies. Like, how did they get all those digital fingerprints in the first place? And in particular, I think that the people in the company who care most about account takeovers and most about like password reset rates, et cetera, are not necessarily the folks who control the onboarding flow to the business. And the folks that control the onboarding flow to the business are extremely organizationally influential. And so like figuring out how to navigate large enterprises and empower the person who might be in like the risk department or the fraud department or the compliance department to win a knockdown, drag out fight against the people who like make the conversion rates that make the business happen is like a key sales skill that you need to be able to navigate. This is amazing though. The like fraud and identity are some of the biggest unsolved problems on the internet. I'm glad there are more smart teams taking a whack at it, and I wish you the best of luck and skill on it.
Yeah.
And I think that is about as much time as we have for today.
Oh yeah, thank you, Patrick, for the feedback.
Thank you, Williem. All right, our final pioneer today is Nathan Ganser, who will be streaming from Switzerland and presenting his project Nat. This is a reminder to everybody in the audience that because this is our last presentation, make sure you're distributing all your points. After this presentation, we will announce our winner of the day. And with that, Nathan, take it away.
Hi, Patrick. I'm a huge fan of your essays, just saying. Anyway. Hey, everyone. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, depending on where you are. I'm Nathan, building Nat.app, superhuman for contacts, a personal CRM that automatically figures out when you lose touch with someone. So, I started my professional career just a few years ago, and I'm already seeing a huge issue. I meet tons of great people, I exchange business cards, and I just lose touch, simply because I'm busy and forgetful. I tried to create a spreadsheet using Airtable, but the time needed to maintain it is just too high. Many of our users have actually tried to use HubSpot or Salesforce to manage their network, but it always failed. I've lost many opportunities because I've not stayed in touch with people, and I know it's the same for many others, so I went on to solve this problem. We are a team of 3 building Nat.app. I know they're watching, so hi guys. And let's sign into my account and have a look how it works. So first, you need to sync your email account, and that's what I've done. And we have built an algorithm that will analyze all your email interactions. We don't read the email content. We only look at the email metadata. And our algorithm will figure out who are the people you're in touch with and with whom you're losing touch. This looks like this. Here is a list of all my contacts. In red are the people I'm losing touch with. In orange, it's kind of okay. And in green are the people I'm in touch. So let's have a look at Daniel Gross, the guy from Pioneer. Definitely, I'm well in touch. For each contact, I can, as you can see, a detailed timeline of our interactions, write notes, and so on. Finally, there is an analytics dashboard where I can see exactly with how many people I'm in touch and with how many people I'm losing touch with and the progress over time. Right now, we are adding some more features like calendar integration, and we are looking for users who are struggling to maintain their network. Please email me to get a free trial plus basically 6 months for free. We'd love to have you. Thank you very much.
Cool. So I love Superhuman for Context as the tagline, both because Superhuman is excellent software and because it should imply things about your strategy. Superhuman's go-to-market was that they found the people, not just who used email, not just who used email professionally, but who had the highest comparative advantage in their career if they got good at email and built like exactly the things that would make them good at email. What is the subset of users that really, really needs this?
So we are actually going after a few different niches. We haven't completely answered this question yet. So I'm actually doing this right now, doing tons of interviews with different niches. One of the niches is actually the same as Superhuman. They are investors because mostly post-investment, because they want to stay in touch. And there is no, like, you don't have a funnel to stay in touch after an investment. So this is one of the niches. Another one is agencies who have projects with clients, and then they want to keep in touch with the clients for follow-up projects. So these are two niches we are going after right now.
It's interesting. I always feel like CRM is sort of a misnomer, because what a CRM, so CRM, for those of you who aren't in sales, stands for customer relationship management. What a CRM actually does, the job to be done, is it's a sales workflow engine. Your company has a sales process. CRM captures that sales process and then makes the people who execute on the sales process much more effective at like deterministically doing it. And so I wonder, what is the workflow that you are capturing here that people are doing right now that you can make them much more effective at doing? The fact that investors have difficulty following up with investments, I acknowledge that there are some investors like that in the world. I don't necessarily know if I want to sell them tooling, A, because that suggests that they are bad at their job, and B, that suggests like they are bad at very easy things. I would rather find investors who are great at their jobs and like have a need around some hard thing and like solve that hard thing for them. And the reason I say that it is an easy thing to follow up with investments you have made is that, well, you shouldn't have that many of them. If you're a VC, you should be on like 12 boards. If you can't send 12 emails a month, maybe your company should hire differently. So like it makes more sense to me as sort of a prospecting thing, or like keeping a finger on the pulse of the market in VC land. But I don't necessarily know that it's people that I've interacted with, quality interactions, that is the thing that I want to like jog my memory on, because I have an inbox for that. I wonder if it's like, you know, keeping an eye on them around the web and what are they doing? Have they tweeted out that they've left their job, et cetera, because there's definitely people who I interacted with 8 years ago that if they like left their job this week, that is an interesting fact to me, for all sorts of reasons. What does success look like for this business?
So if it's the same question you were asking Stas, I mean, we've discussed this with my co-founder, and I'm not sure we want to like become a big VC funded company. I think actually like a big model for me is the guys from Basecamp. I really like their vision, and so like if we can get there, that would be amazing to build kind of a Basecamp type of software business that runs well with a great team and end of the game.
That is plausible. I think Basecamp is one of the few bootstrap SaaS startups which is broad horizontal and which did very well despite being broad horizontal. My one bit of consistent feedback to you would be, find the people who need this like they need oxygen, whether that's VCs or somebody else. Whoever has the most acute problem in the world at it, build the thing that is like close to perfect for their use case, consider expanding from there. But like the nice thing about bootstrapping something is if you can find someone who is willing to pay Superhuman price point, $30 a month for those of you who aren't subscribed to Superhuman. You don't actually need all that many customers in the world to make a business out of that. So like a couple of thousand is fine, and you can find a couple of thousand in any profession where there's a white collar professional who again needs this like they need oxygen. But you do need to find a take on this problem that is not just a CRM, it's not just a workflow engine, it's like uniquely unlocks a huge source of value to the business. And I wish you the best of luck and skill on doing that. I think we're just about out of time.
Thank you so much.
Awesome. Thank you, Nathan. And thank you so much, Patrick, for joining us today. We really appreciate it.
Thanks so much for having me.
Awesome. All right. The moment of truth now. We'll bring Daniel up, and we will close us out with a tally of our points and a overview of the day. Go ahead, Daniel.
Thank you, Jackson. Thank you, everyone, for tuning in. we have some, it is my job here to deliver the news of who won the final tally of all of our votes. But before I do, I very much want to thank our fearless lead pilot, Jackson, for taking us from presentation to presentation, from host to host, with the excellence of one flying through turbulence on a 737 MAX, if you will, and managing to push through it. And then I also would like to thank someone who's far better than the 737 MAX team at engineering, Rishi, for building the wonderful interface they're all using today, not YouTube that is, but the actual chat and voting, which many of you have commented on, seems to be functional and useful, as well to the broader Pioneer team, to Elisa, to Jenny, to a bunch of other folks for helping us build this little world. Again, to our hosts for spending the time with us, and of course to everyone who joined us from their bunkers, where they're hopefully staying safe, stocking up on a lot of Purell and chloroquine, and being as healthy as one can today. And so, hey Rishi, are these in ascending or descending order? Having some first to third. Okay. So in third place, we have Hostnotion, the name that the company with the name that of course Tyler struggled with, because it sounds like a nation. The kind of instant website generator that lets you get started from Notion, hopefully a Webflow of the future. In second place, we have Deft, building kind of the next product catalog, the next Amazon.com one day, if they get drop shipping right, and if they manage to explain to Tyler what drop shipping is. And then in first place, we have, the drum roll please, Roboflow, the gentleman building storage and ETL tools for computer vision, a kind of Dropbox for computer vision, if you will. Look, hopefully all of the pioneers today were interesting and exciting to you. If you'd like, you can get in touch with them through the website. Just let us know if so. We'll, please send us feedback about your personal experience today. Our goal is to make this kind of a fun and exciting experience for those watching, for those presenting, for those hosting. Who knows what the world to come, we may be doing many more kind of digital gatherings as opposed to physical. We're constantly thinking about how to make it exciting and fun and enticing, ideally the most thrilling space we can be on the internet for the span of 2 hours, once a month. So keep us posted, please send us feedback, team@pioneer.app. There's a broader collection of pioneers you can peruse on the website as well. The website is open 24/7. It does not shut down, hopefully. We'll be back to you soon. So until next time, from the internet, from me to you, thanks for watching, and we'll talk more soon. Bye-bye now.